All right, everybody. Welcome to Badge and Banter. This is Charlie Whittington with the Lawton Police Department, and we are coming to you from Cameron University for our Badge and Banter podcast. This is a podcast for police officers, about our lives, about our culture, about who we are, how we operate, and then the banter is just whatever we discuss in between. So we've had a few episodes come to you from Cameron. We appreciate them letting us use this facility. And today we are here with a very special guest, Captain Mark Mason.
Well, hello, Charlie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good.
Putting this podcast on, we talked with the chief. He says, "Yeah, let's do this." And I talked to you before. You're pretty amped about coming on the show. Amped, maybe
Not originally, but yeah, come around.
So what do you think so far? Have you heard some of the episodes? Or?
Yeah, I've heard several of them, and it's getting good information out and kind of putting a different light on us and giving us a human side as well.
Absolutely, and that was the whole pitch, and I think it's going really well. We've got a pretty good following, and we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, all of those wherever you listen to your podcast. So make sure to drop a listen to that. Follow us on Facebook and social media for all that as well. But it gives good information out. It gives a lot of inside scoop, I guess, to who we are and how we operate. We've had multiple people on from different divisions. And so today you come to us with how many years experience? How long have you been on?
Be 18 years next month.
18 years. That's a long time. So you have a lot of knowledge about the Lawton Police Department.
Try my best.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and that's all we can hope for, right?
That's right.
So for our listeners, Mark and I both come from Legacy, I guess, for the PD.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called, the Legacy.
Yeah.
Mark's father and my father were both on the Lawton Police Department early on. And so then we took steps in that direction to become police officers. That wasn't your first, was that your?
No, I was a little slow coming around. I bought my first business, obviously with my dad's help, when I was 18, and it was actually putting breathalyzers in cars. So somebody got a DUI, they had to blow in the device to get their car started. And so that kind of, my thought was scratch my itch of fulfilling that, because we also owned a carpet cleaning business at the time, and I didn't foresee me following my dream, and did several things trying to scratch that itch, and did crime scene cleanups added that to the carpet cleaning business. And then finally, after about 10 years, I was like, I'm not enjoying it. It was sad to work for myself and hate going to work. So
You can't have that.
No,
You got to go somewhere where you go to work and you love it.
Yeah, come to work every day, and 99% of the time, I love every day, and I go home loving my job. So
yeah.
I have very few days that I don't.
I understand that, and that's understandable. That's for all of us. Your time on the PD, obviously, you start in patrol, which is like everybody. Yep. Kind of explain your progression as to where you are now as a captain.
Yeah, I started patrol just like everybody else. Actually, fairly quickly, within about a year and a half, I wasn't really part of the traffic unit, but I was on evening shift. We had our own traffic cars, so we still worked patrol, but our primary function was traffic, and did that for 4.5 years, and got selected to CID. Went to CID for about 2 years, and was promoted, and went back to patrol. So did my time on midnights again, and went back through that route, and slowly just kind of started getting some seniority, and was lucky and blessed enough to get selected for training commander. And so I got to go over to training division and do that for a while. And after training division, did some time over there, about 2 years, and luckily at perfect timing, right when COVID was happening, I got to transition over as a lieutenant to CID, and went back to CID, and was there for about 2 years, and was fortunate enough to be promoted to captain after testing, and was blessed to be offered the internal affairs position. So that's where I'm at now.
So now you're captain over the internal affairs. So that
internal affairs, professional standards.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of police the police as well as watch out for any liability concerns. So
yeah. So our paths have kind of, as far as career wise, we kind of worked a lot in the same divisions. We worked together in detectives. We didn't really work together much in patrol.
No,
You were
didn't
on
work
different
much in
days.
patrol. I was different days, and you were
Yep.
COP, and
Yep.
then we got to be some of the first ones to go to evening shift CID.
Oh,
that didn't
evening
work for
shift
long.
CID.
That didn't work out real well. Just
That
wasn't
didn't-
enough of us.
Didn't care for that. I mean, it was okay.
It wasn't bad. It was just after 8 o'clock, even victims don't want you calling them at
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
and interrupting their evening. So
it was a
we'd
tough
work,
deal.
What was it? I think 3 to midnight or 4 to midnight.
Yeah.
And,
We did that for like 3 months or something like that.
yeah. It seemed like it was going to be real productive, and we actually got so far behind on cases because you only had about 4 hours out of the shift that you could do a whole lot.
Yep.
The last part of the shift, you were just kind of doing follow-ups and things, so you couldn't progress the case any. You were just basically doing all the background work on the case,
Treading water through the
exactly
the whole case. They so you worked in training. I worked in training. We were both training commanders. That was a good time.
That
was
was great.
about the same time frame too. I think right at 2 years, right? Ish.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I think Lieutenant Ellis went over there, and then you went after him.
I went after Ellis, but and then internal affairs. I worked there as the detective over there with Captain Chris Hall.
Yes.
Prior to me getting promoted to lieutenant, and then working my way back up to midnights, back up to days, and that yo-yo of the rigmarole of that.
Yep. Seniority is a wonderful thing.
It's once you're there.
Once you're there.
Yeah, once you're there. I mean, I know that 21-year-old Charlie didn't care for midnights too much, and then get 30-something-year-old Charlie in there, and I was like, man, this is
it got rough as I got older.
Yeah, that's part of the reason not testing for captain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have to go right back at 42 now. I'm like,
I was very fortunate and blessed to be offered this position. So
your timing was right.
Timing just worked out perfect. Actually, I was promoting because the internal affairs captain was the one that was retiring last.
So do you see, you've been on, you said 18, right?
Next month.
So do you see yourself staying in internal affairs? Do you see yourself going, would you like to go back to patrol as a
I may eventually go back to patrol. Right now, I'm loving internal affairs. I feel like it's right up my alley with business management and running a business. After doing that for so long, I feel comfortable in it, and I probably will stay here as long as they'll allow me.
Did you feel any, when you got the transferred over to internal affairs and your police, did you feel any different working though? I mean, did it, I didn't say you lose friends, but was it just,
you're kind of, you don't lose friends. It just, people, boy, they'll quit talking when you walk through the hallways.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's one of those deals. Actually, I prayed about it and did a little research about it, and it's one of those deals that nobody hates somebody ruin their profession more than the person in that profession. So, very seldom, if ever, do you get an investigation of just a bad apple. It's usually made bad decisions, and
they do it to themselves.
They do it to themselves, and you're there to find the facts and get the facts out and hold them accountable as the community and everybody expects. So, if it's a hard job and it's not the liked job, but
it's an
important job and it's a very righteous job. Yeah,
it was difficult. I know making that transition when I came over to as a detective doing that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was, for my personality, it was just not so much like to be liked, but it was just one of those. It's easier.
Yeah. Well, you're much more outgoing, and
so
I'm kind of quiet and reserved, and just I like to be behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So
it took a long time. I actually spoke with a now lieutenant for probably a couple hours, him and another detective at the time, about just that process and how tough it was making that transition. But I think it made me, I feel better about who I am and where I am professionally.
Absolutely. It gives you those that don't have that 30,000-foot view of the city in a whole, the department. It gives you that, and it makes you understand liability. And for those that don't have that, like I said, come from business background, that's what I dealt with all the time. So customer service, things like that. So I understood that, and I think it's very valuable to have that background for them.
And you hold that standard for the community. You hold that standard for the citizens that we serve, and like we said, it's just a righteous job.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite part about the PD? Like where you've been? What is internal affairs? Is it traffic? Because I know your father was a traffic officer as well.
Dad was a traffic. He was part of the TAP unit back in the '80s. It was a government-backed grant to provide traffic safety, traffic action programs, what the TAP stood for. And so, yeah, that was kind of a proud moment for me to be able to follow in that part of the footsteps as well, not just get on the police department itself, but to actually do the same job. Of course, it had changed tremendously.
Oh, yeah. Can't police the way you did 5 years ago, let alone
that, but just the digital, having tape measures, going from tape measures to a digital scanner and things like that. And yeah, that it changed quite a bit.
We shared a post the other day, and it was a picture of your dad, and he was working a 5-car accident on Fort Sill Boulevard and Cash Road. And on the flip side of that, it's kind of like a then and now. It was now Sergeant Shucker, who was working in training, but he was working patrol that night, and he was actually working on a traffic accident.
Yeah, and that was a really neat picture. That my dad was actually one of his FTOs.
Yeah,
so it was a really neat picture.
He told me that on the scene, and that was Dave Shucker is his first, I guess, traffic accident that he has worked in probably 30 years.
Oh yeah, at least.
So
yeah.
It was good. So following your dad's footsteps. So traffic, was that, you say, probably your favorite? Or
that I enjoyed that. I would have to say either CID or internal affairs has been my favorite. CID, just the investigation. I enjoy investigations. Investigations themselves are fun. Doesn't matter what type of investigation, and that's what you're doing on these and with internal affairs. But yeah, so I would say CID or internal affairs. Internal affairs is nice because you don't have near the call outs.
Yeah, so true. But when you do, you're like, oh.
Yeah, when you do get a call out,
those are either feast. I would always say it was feast or famine. Like you're either really busy or you're making the work. You're looking for other stuff. You hold multiple hats on the department anyway.
Well, yeah, and I mean internal affairs, and like I said, that's why I kind of say internal affairs / professional standards. We manage all the open records requests for the department, so we have to do redactions on body cameras. Which is
coming to like a lot.
Yes,
that's more of a constant.
It keeps us, so there's me and then Detective Dixon in internal affairs, but he's half internal affairs, half Crime Stoppers. And I would say he spends the majority of his time, if he's not doing Crime Stoppers work, he's doing open records work. So, and then I take the overflow of that as well. So, it keeps us very busy.
Now but you also, like I said, you wear a lot of hats. I know that coming up through the ranks, you went into law enforcement, driver's instructor. You were a trainer in that. So LEDT?
LEDT, yes. So, I was fortunate to be selected that. That was kind of one of my, kind of like traffic. It was a proud moment. Dad was LEDT. I remember growing up. Back then they called it EVO, Emergency Vehicle Operations. So I remember growing up, going over to Burns Flat with Dad and getting to see things. And so it puts a special sense in it, being able to do it now, and I lost Dad when I was young. Heck, I was 29, so with him being gone now for so long, it kind of makes things a little more cherishable, I would say. So, hope to make him proud. And
you do. You do. I remember we went to Fort Sill one day, and we were doing training, the driver's training, LEDT out there on, I guess, that old residential course they had out in the back.
Yeah.
And your dad had come back for, I guess, the reserve, the Henry units.
Yeah, after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of officers that got activated that were reservists.
Yeah, Dad came back for a little bit, but your dad came back and was doing the driving with us. So he came out there, and I got in his car, and I was like, this is surreal. This is just, how cool is this?
Right.
And he's like, punch it, let's go.
Yeah.
And we did. And just big smile on both of our faces. And that was the thing, too. We got in the car with him, the smile on his face when we were driving was just like a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
So he loved it. He loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you wear many hats, the LEDT, and then what about in CID? Do you have any favorite Any favorite cases? No specifics, but like, do you have any favorite that you worked that were just your like top tier moments?
Yeah, I had several of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say a whole lot about them, but
Sure.
yeah. There's a lot of them that they'll stick with you in your mind, and there's those that you couldn't get solved, and those stick with you just worse than the ones that were successful and holding people accountable. But enjoyed that. And talking about the hats, I am actually going for my second term with OPERS, the Oklahoma Police Pension Retirement System.
Yeah.
So our retirement system, so get the luxury and the pleasure to sit on that board and make sure that fund stays very well funded to help us with our retirements.
Well, we talk about retirement, so let's talk about the training too that goes in with that. When you worked in training, when I worked in training, a part of ours, and part of ours even now, is recruiting.
Absolutely.
And so when people call, we still have a 20-year retirement with so tell our listeners about that. If someone is interested in, law enforcement, Lawton Police Department, what the retirement offers to somebody.
So our retirement, one of the very few pensions that are still around. Most companies have gone to 401ks, things like that. So we're still very, very fortunate and lucky to have a pension system. After 20 years of service, it's 60% of your pay. So you've paid into this fund. So it doesn't cost taxpayers anything once you retire. It's a fund that you've paid in. You pay a portion in. The city pays a portion, and that's where the start of your retirement comes from. You better have some others. Yeah. That's not going to sustain it.
But with the department, we do a lot of planning. I know with the cadets when they come in, we set them up. We do financial planning with them, and we set them up for the future. We set them up for 20 years down the road to where you won't have to work
if they'll listen. Yeah.
But you have to.
If it's hard. I know when I got on, I took a pay cut, but it was what it was. I wanted my passion, and I enjoyed it and never regret it. And over the years with inflation and everything, and fortunately we've become very competitive with pay to be able to retain good quality applicants and officers. So it's a good start for your retirement, but you better also contribute to other retirement systems.
Well, and then recently with the retirement, we've had a multiplier that is going into effect.
So it went. So it's a 50. Right now, it's 50% is your retirement. 50%, a year from July 1, it goes to 60%. So if you retire after July 1 of 26 with 25 years or more, you can actually go from a 60 or at 25 years, it'd be, instead of being a 60% retirement, it'd be a 75% retirement. So it's changed the multiplier from 2.5% to 3% per year is how it's calculated after 10 years. But to get that 60%, you have to do a full 20. So it was increased to help with retention.
So for our listeners, that's a big thing. That is huge. Not everybody has that.
And unfortunately, we were all there. I was there. Well, luckily, I wasn't there. I don't know that I had much of an adolescence. I had to work, but that's the one thing that's hard to get some of the younger generations to realize is and think about is the future. And you don't want to work till you're 75 years old and
you want to enjoy
go home to die. Yeah, you want to be able to retire and then go enjoy life, because this is a very, very stressful career.
We just talked about. We went through our last training was that resilience training, and the instructor was saying, as far as traumatic events and things of that nature, the average person, I want to say she said, had 8 to 10 of those in their time frame, and then we do that weekly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, our average, I believe, was right around 900 to 1,200 traumatic events in our lifetime.
I would say also, too, our office and our higher ups and that are working into it now are more for the resiliency training, or more for the the officer, the health, the well-being, the mental health for us.
Yeah, our command staff is very, very in the front of that, wanting to, improve our ability and our resources and things to help with our mental health. Years ago, and I say years ago, it really wasn't that long ago. I'd say 10 years ago, that wasn't a discussion. It wasn't a topic.
It was more suck it up.
Yeah, suck it
Let's
up,
move
buttercup,
on.
go on.
Yeah, this is police work.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what brought that to the forefront was what they had learned with the military after Desert Storm in the 90s, and the effects that had on individuals and their mental health. And I think that was the start of it. Growing up, I kind of saw that. I had a grandfather who was Vietnam, and, it was shell shock back then.
Yeah.
So it wasn't understood as a mental disorder. It was more of a physical disorder, from concussions and things like that.
I think it is definitely a step in the right direction for our administration to push this effort forward. And, with a peer team now, we have multiple members of that. We, if anybody needs assistance, they just ask.
Yeah.
And it's there.
We've made huge, our command staff has made huge strides in the last 5 years in that, with that peer team and wanting to enhance what we have now, So I don't want to get in particulars, but I'm loving what I'm hearing of things they want to try to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. And I'm in the same boat. It's pretty exciting to hear where things could potentially progress once they get there. But yeah, absolutely. A definite plus. So, and it's the same way we talked. You can't police the same way you did, like when our parents were policing in, the 70s and 80s. We can't manage the same way.
No, it's society is different. The citizens expect more. We want to do more.
Well, yeah, they deserve more.
They deserve
absolutely.
more. And we are realizing the mistakes society in general has done in the past, and you don't get better if you don't improve.
Absolutely. And I think that the fact that they can see that is huge.
Absolutely.
Is huge. Very positive for the Lawton Police Department right now. So, we talked about a lot. We talked about retirement. Your time in training, did you have any favorite, I know, other than driving? Because with LEDT, you get to go out there with those cadets and you get to
training. Yeah. Training division gave a whole different sense of pride in the department. You are bringing up the future. And I'm a firm believer in it starts from ground one. And if you don't get the mindset of what is expected and the discipline and the respect that is expected from not just your supervisory staff, but your citizens as well. If you don't get that started and ingrained in them from day one, you've lost it.
Well, and it's a different. I know when I went through, as far as at training, I had to step back, and I was like, "Well, you don't know what you don't know." So, like
Sure.
the people coming in, we talk about how firearms and present your firearm downrange, and they have like the blue guns, the dummy guns, and you're looking at someone, you're like, "Okay, what are they doing?" I was like, "Oh, you don't know what you don't know." So it took me that was kind of like my aha, like, okay, now we're dealing with a new generation. We're dealing with a new mindset of an officer coming
Absolutely.
in, and then we have to adapt as well to that.
Right. Yeah. We got to realize when they get hired that they're a baby. They know nothing. So we can't be too harsh on them, but at the same time we have high expectations. So we expect in the beginning, in those first few weeks, we expect some mistakes, but we also expect those mistakes to be corrected immediately. So
you got to build off that.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and that doesn't go just with the cadets, but that also goes with, that was one of the first things I recognized going over there is, again, like I was talking a while ago about, I took training division as operating a business. You train employees, you get the employees know how to do the service that you expect, and then watch out for liability and training issues. So
And you adjust
that's
on the
kinda,
fly.
absolutely, you have to. Oh, it's a constant. It's constant adapt and overcome. That's what that should be called out there. That's their motto is adapt and overcome, because you're constantly having to make changes to schedules and everything. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just the recruits don't know what they don't know, but I had to remind myself going out there that I'm not a firearms instructor. I can shoot a gun. Not my favorite thing to do in the world. I don't do that for, a lot of people do that for an escape, and I don't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm calling in the experts.
Yeah. Surround yourself with people that know what they're doing.
Exactly. You can't know everything, but I can have friends that know everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, absolutely.
And then, making the adjustment, making the schedule adjustments. COVID was huge, having to, do virtual training, and I'm sure that was a big thing for.
Yeah,
Lieutenant
I got
Ellis
so
moving in there,
fortunate.
too.
Yeah, I came out in, I believe it was, I want to say June or July-ish time frame of 20. So right when COVID was ramping up.
Yeah.
The only thing it affected me was we were supposed to start an academy, and we had to shut it down about 2 weeks before it was supposed to start, and that was rough. And then had to start the adapt and overcome of, well, we can't do classroom settings for our in-service training. What are we going to do? So we had to set up an online training.
Fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, fix this. And by the way, training's next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a rough time. But sorry for Lieutenant Ellis. But I was
shout out.
Attach that.
Shout out to Lieutenant Ellis. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He did a great job stepping in there in a. I stepped in there and everything's running smooth. He stepped in there and you was running smooth, and COVID happened.
There was a hiccup.
And COVID, that was a horrible time. I had experienced about 6 months of it, and I wasn't sad to get out of it.
And then I was fortunate enough to step in when that hiccup had smoothed
fixed.
out. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Noah.
Oh,
thank you, Lieutenant Ellis. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
And it worked out. And then the guys out there are phenomenal. They do great work with that. Now we've got one academy going, and we've got another one coming up pretty quick.
I think it starts, this month or next month, I think.
I don't know, it's quick.
Yeah.
They've got one, and we just graduated one in January. Yeah. The other one started within a week of each other, and then they've got another one coming up. So it's going to be good for our numbers.
Yeah, so, I mean, speaking of the numbers, right before COVID happened, law enforcement was not a career anybody wanted anything to do with.
Yeah.
And we got some black eyes on us, and rightfully so, and we've made corrections as a group, as I say, we
law enforcement nationally, internationally,
recognized where our issues were, and did some retraining. So recruitment was hard. When I got on, there were several hundred applying.
450. I think for mine.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a massive thing, and now you're lucky to get 80 people, and now we're getting back up in the hundreds. So there's that attraction, the desire. Law enforcement, I think first responders period is a different breed. You don't just go, oh, look, this place is hiring. Let's go give it a shot. I'll see if I can get on. It's not a job. It's a career.
Yeah,
and
you
if
have to have that
it's
mindset.
A job, you're not going to last.
Yeah, that mindset has to be. I always tell people you have to have that servant's heart.
Absolutely.
And
you want to do the work.
Yeah, do the work and see that good. Be that change you want to see. But to have those, I think as far as the Lawton Police Department, we're very blessed and fortunate with the community. For the community, the citizens, Southwest Oklahoma, Lawton, Fort Sill, have always been really good to us.
We've always been very supported by the community, and I think it's a reflection of the hard work we what we provide to them.
Absolutely.
There's going to be hiccups all the time, but I think overall we don't have problems a lot of different parts of the country.
No, you see it on the news and you see on that. We don't have it, and I think we're very fortunate. And thank you to the community that we serve. Thank you to the citizens in Lawton, Fort Sill, Southwest Oklahoma. You guys are great to the Lawton Police Department, and we gladly appreciate it. They with the new building and the new advancements we have new vehicles coming in. We've got new electronics. We're talking about how things are changing. No paper tickets anymore. We've got electronic tickets and
electronic report. I couldn't write a ticket right now if I wanted to, and I couldn't write a report. Matter of fact, I don't even have a login to write a report.
See,
that's not my forte.
Yeah,
I contract that out.
Yeah. Delegate.
Yes, absolutely.
Surround yourself with people that know.
Surround myself with people that know. Absolutely.
Well, Mark, we have talked about a lot. Our social media is booming pretty well, and I was wondering if you wanted to do maybe if you have seen some of our rapid fire Q&A. Have you seen any of those?
I have.
So for those that don't know, on our Facebook and social media, you can follow us on Lawton Police Department social media pages, and we do what we call a rapid fire Q&A, and it's just I go up and I don't say bombard people, but I surprise them. I surprise them. But
absolutely.
You know it's coming.
Well, that is true. That is true.
So
You've
asked
been trying
people,
to get me to do this for a minute.
I have, and
remember, I'm that behind the scenes
I know.
guy. I don't like the
and
attention,
technically you're still behind the scenes. I mean, there's no video in this. It's just
in
audio.
this, but I see what you're already starting to plan is do this rapid fire. You're setting it up.
I am.
I was a detective.
I know. So we were in detectives together, so partners. So
yeah.
Here you go, buddy. So we're gonna do rapid fire Q&A. So Mark, I'm just gonna ask you some questions off the cuff, and then you just give me answers.
All right. Good
Okay.
thing is you keep the questions the same.
Yeah, I do. So you have an idea.
I have an idea.
I may have changed them up.
Well, we'll see.
Hobbies when you are not at work.
Just hanging around with friends and family.
Okay. What was your first job?
Man, I would have been about 7 mowing yards, but
At 7?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Dad would drop us off. I had an older brother. He'd drop us off at rent houses and go, I'll be back in 30 minutes, have it done. So, yeah, but I would say first job, maybe paper boy. I mean, not working for family.
Yeah.
I did do curb spray paints, the addresses on the curbs. I was always an entrepreneur.
That's a really cool deal.
I started doing that when I was like 12, 14.
That we did that to our old house. It's very satisfying. It's very, that.
Oh, yeah. It's instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's kind of like mowing a yard.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So do you prefer text messages or phone calls?
Depends. If it's going to be something lengthy, call me. I don't need to be texting.
Don't need to decipher it.
But if it's a quick deal, yeah, absolutely. Text real fast.
What's your favorite food?
Anything pasta.
Pasta. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite? So Italian food maybe, or just pasta dish?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Italian dish?
Probably chicken Alfredo or like a veal Parmesan Alfredo. Yeah.
How long have you been on LPD? We've already
18 years.
tackled that
month.
one.
Yep.
Congratulations, by the way. That's
Hey.
not easy.
No, but
Working on that 20.
hit that 20, and then hopefully that last 5 or 6 will cruise by.
Just like that. What's your favorite season?
Probably summer, because fall and spring is too short, so I'm going to say summer.
And then
I
fun.
hate the cold.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
I can handle heat.
I wish he would
Heat's
just
no
make
big
up his
deal.
mind.
Yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
hot one day, cold the other, and
We wonder why we're sick.
talking about taking the top off the Jeep, and I'm like, man, I
Yeah,
can't.
go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll regret it this afternoon.
So let's see. Fun fact about yourself that someone may not know.
Fun fact about myself. Most people don't know anything about me.
This will be a good one.
Man, I've got a strong faith. I've got a very strong faith.
Okay. And then your favorite pizza topping.
I'd probably go with Supreme. I like it all. I'm all of it. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite holiday.
Definitely going to be Christmas, even though it's not when Jesus was born. That's when we celebrate it. We know, but still, yeah.
Minus the cold.
No, it's got to be snowing on Christmas. If it's not snowing, it's not Christmas.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, wearing shorts out to do Christmas that's not
It's
Christmas.
not. You need to bundle up.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the family photos, if it was like 75, did you make everybody put on like parkas and stuff to make it look the part?
Oh, you think I take photos?
What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Probably go with Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, good one.
Good one.
Yeah, that's a very quotable one.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a very good one. Stephen King one, by the way. That's
Hey, see, you more into it than I am.
Yeah.
I just watched a movie.
If it's on, will you just sit down like, all right?
Yeah, my wife hates it every time it's on because it's always on. She's like, "You've seen it 100 times." Yeah, I know, but it might change.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't make it out this time.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. For those who hadn't seen
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, maybe.
If you haven't, crazy. I don't
Yeah.
know though, man. Now that you say it, Sling Blade's a good show too.
That's Dwight Yoakam was in that one.
Billy Bob Thornton was
Billy
in it.
Bob Thornton. Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's a good one too. I don't know. That's close because I watch those all the time.
that's a deep one. That's
Yeah.
That's a little dark.
Yeah.
That's
French fry taters.
Ain't
Ain't got no gas in it.
Ain't got no gas in it. Yeah, that'll be. Yeah, ain't got no gas in it. Well, we've talked about a lot, Mark, and we filled up a lot of time with finding out about you, finding out about who you are and what you're about, and your time on the department. And
What this is about, right?
yeah, that's what it is. I mean,
Make sure I didn't go the wrong road.
No, you went down the right road. So we got the badge part, and then the banter was everything in between, the French fried taters and all that.
Got you.
So I would say thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have you back, talk about maybe more in depth about some of your endeavors, LEDT, some other stuff, maybe deep dive into that.
Absolutely.
And then to our listeners, make sure to listen and subscribe. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, anywhere you find your podcast needs. And thank you to Cameron University for letting us come out here and shoot this podcast. And if you have anything that you'd like to see or hear, make sure to hit us up on Facebook, message us, and maybe we'll get it out here, some content to you. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great day.